Environmental Psychology Humans in Context Chapter 4. The Curious Case of the Healing Helicopter Sometimes. The Propeller Paradox. Or how your brain recovers from helicopters and motorcycles faster than you might expect. Key terms to know before you read. Trial by trial design, repeated measurement of responses across alternating conditions. Baseline initial condition used as a reference point, typically natural sound. Annoyance, standard measure of how disturbing a sound is. Sound quality, acoustic characteristics, features like rhythm, continuity, and predictability. Attention restoration theory, art theory that natural environments restore depleted cognitive resources. Soft fascination, effortless attention engaged by natural stimuli. Dynamic perception, the idea that perception changes over time with exposure. Related terms, habituation, sensitization. Questions to consider while reading. Why do some noises feel more irritating than others even at the same volume? How does the brain respond over time to repeated noise exposure? Can nature do more than just reset us after stress? What does this study reveal about attention and recovery? Why is sound quality as important as loudness? There are many ways to test human patience. One could, for instance, place someone in a beautiful natural setting, allow them to settle into a pleasant state of calm, and then periodically interrupt that calm with the distant hum of aircraft. Happily for science, someone did exactly this. In what might politely be described as torture, researchers designed an experimental study to examine how people respond to repeated noise. The setting, much like before, remained serene. But then they dropped at the beat, as it were, the experimental rhythm of irritation. Participants were exposed to a sequence that unfolded like a mildly antagonistic metronome. Natural sounds. A burst of aircraft noise, 50 dB. Natural sounds again. Another burst of noise. And so on in a repeating pattern. The scenes themselves remained unchanged. Think sweeping landscapes, the sort that usually inspire reflection or at least a thoughtful nod. Overlaid on this, however, came carefully timed intrusions of sound. The goal was not merely to see whether noise was annoying. That question had been settled long ago. The goal was to observe how annoyance rises and falls over time, moment by moment. Not all noise is created equal. Here is where things become unexpectedly nuanced. All aircraft sounds in the study were calibrated to roughly the same loudness. In theory, this should have made them equally bothersome. In practice, it did not. Helicopters. Choppy. Most annoying. Characterized by sharp, pulsing, irregular bursts. Difficult for the brain to tune out. Propeller planes. Moderately annoying. More consistent, less abrupt. High-altitude jets. Least annoying. Continuous smooth sound resembling white noise. The conclusion is both simple and slightly unsettling. Your brain is not especially impressed by decibel equality. It cares how a sound behaves. Example A loud opera performance sounds more annoying than nails on a chalkboard, or vice versa, depending on whom you ask. And both low-flying helicopters and motorcycle pipes are the most annoying. They also incidentally both distract drivers, which, to put it gently, raises Americans' collective hospital bills. Why helicopters and motorcycles win Darwin Awards, that is aka. Catch the uppercase L. Helicopters, it turns out, are the overachievers of annoyance. Their sound is intermittent rather than continuous, rhythmically uneven, attention-grabbing in a way that resists habituation. This chop-chop pattern repeatedly pulls cognitive resources toward it. The brain is wildly lashed by constant unwanted surges which threaten to blow all their fuses or have a cow or many baby cows. In short, helicopters make your head feel like it's being used as the main attraction at the center of a kindergarten drum circle. Again, Sherlock, not at all surprising. The rise and fall of annoyance. But the true elegance of the study lies in what happens next. Each cycle produces a predictable pattern. Baseline natural sound. Low annoyance. Stable relaxed state. Noise exposure. Sharp increase in annoyance. Return to natural sound. Annoyance decreases. So far, this is exactly what one might expect. Noise irritates, its absence relieves. No surprises there. But this is the part no one expected. The unexpected dip. After repeated cycles, participants sometimes reported lower annoyance levels after the noise had stopped than they did at the original baseline. Not just recovery, but improvement. It is as if the brain, having been briefly inconvenienced, experiences a realization that it should exercise gratitude that silence even still exists in this world at all. Enter attention restoration theory. This is where the findings align neatly with the work of the Kaplans, Rachel and Stephen, who developed attention restoration theory. Art proposes that Directed attention used for focus and control becomes fatigued. Natural environments engage soft fascination. This allows cognitive resources to replenish. In this study, natural soundscapes appear to do more than simply remove irritation. What really caused shocks in the scientists' socks was that natural soundscapes may actively facilitate restoration, a dynamic system, not a static one. One of the most important insights here is that perception is not fixed, instead it behaves more like a system in motion. And in this case, noise introduces disruption. Nature enables recovery. Repeated exposure produces a rhythmic cycle of strain and restoration. This is called dynamic perception. The experience of an environment depends not only on what is present but on what came just before it. Understanding sound more deeply than ever before, several key ideas emerge. 1. Loudness is not the whole story. Two sounds at the same decibel level can produce very different reactions. Acoustic structure matters. 2. Nature does more than reset. Natural environments may actively enhance psychological state after disturbance. This goes beyond simple recovery. 3. Perception evolves over time. Repeated exposure reveals patterns that in summary super simple single sound and silence measurements cannot capture. Summary: the study uses a trial-by-trial design to measure responses over repeated noise exposures. Participants experience alternating sequences of natural sound and aircraft noise 50 dB. Helicopters are most annoying due to irregular pulsing sound. Propeller planes are moderately annoying. High-altitude jets are least annoying due to continuous sound like white noise. Annoyance rises during noise and falls during natural sound, sometimes surprisingly below baseline. After repeated cycles, annoyance could give way to a deeper-rooted restorative effect. Findings support attention restoration theory as pioneered by the Kaplans. Perception is dynamic, changing with exposure. Conclusion: if earlier studies taught us that noise disrupts experience, this one adds a more hopeful note, not in a this too shall pass sense, but the future will be better than it used to be sense. Nature, it seems, is not a passive backdrop waiting for silence to return. It is an active participant in restoring balance, recalibrating attention, and on occasion making you feel better than you did before the disturbance began. Which is reassuring because oh how people do love to show off their canyon crashing skills. Likely exam questions. Expect things like, do all sounds at the same decibel level produce the same annoyance? Answer: no, sound quality matters. Which aircraft and motorcycle type is most annoying and why? Answers: helicopters, because their noise is choppy and attention-grabbing. All types of motorcycles for the same reason, though if you do want to go off-road with one that's more manly, and at least no human ears are likely hear you, especially if you ride it on a train. Track: what evidence suggests restoration in this study? Answer: post-noise annoyance drops below baseline. How does this relate to attention restoration theory? Answer: nature helps cognitive psychological restoration. How do noise levels affect perceived solitude and tranquility, and what evidence suggests restoration? Strong answer: noise decreases both. Natural sound restores them. Post-noise ratings may exceed baseline, which is evidence of restoration. Image attachment large.